Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on in to Sports Talk with Broads. I feel that Howie Roseman was inside my head. I swear to you, he read my mind because last night and even early this morning, I thought to myself, what if I broke down a little Eagles action? What if I did an Eagles podcast just to break up the Phillies discussion, just to move away from the sad Sixers talk a bit? Where is Jalen Hurts? Who is Nick Sirianni? What are the expectations for Jonathan Gannon? And then bang, we get hit with James Bradberry has been signed to a one-year deal by the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is just fantastic. That was a massive hole in the roster, and I know that there's been a lot of controversy around some of the moves that Howie Roseman made, but you got to look at the full body of work. There's so much time to make these additions. For example, early on in the offseason process, there were a lot of Eagles fans bothered because he didn't do enough. And I said, hold on a second. We're not even at the draft yet. You're complaining that the Eagles didn't get better yet and they're not even at the draft? Just relax. Give it some time. And when the Calvin Ridley news fell through, there was more disappointment in that area. And I know Howie's a very vocal one on this too when you look at previous moves that he made deep into the offseason process. For example, one that comes to my mind instantly is a Ronald Darby. Think about when they acquired Jay Ajayi during that Super Bowl run. And that was clearly even on the later side, but you get my point, which is you can't fully assess what you did or what you didn't do until everything is all done, all the teams do what they did, and then you say, okay, was it enough? And when we recognize how much of a disaster the defense was last season, and now you have three real players, well, Hassan Reddick is an interesting cat for sure. But you think of Nakobe Dean that you landed in the third round of the draft. You sign White to a nice how do you do there, considering your alternatives in the years past have been abysmal. You get a nice player in White, and you got Hassan Reddick, which brings you some versatility into the mix for Jonathan Gannon. There is no damn excuse. But real quickly, getting back to Howie Roseman, I always stress that he's not dumb. They're not stupid as a front office. Quite frankly, there's a reason why organizations are consistently plucking from the Eagles' tree nonstop. They see that there's nobody on the opposite of Darius Slay. They're fully aware of that. You can't put in Zach McPherson. You can't move Avonte Maddox to the outside. The dude gets exposed due to his lack of size, and that's not where he plays his best ball. So they are going to do something about it. Just breathe. I'm already hearing that, well, really, how did Howie expect this to happen? He got lucky. He got lucky with the timing of what the New York Giants did. Lucky? How come that word always gets thrown around for him? And if that's the case, then every GM is lucky because no one ever knows what squads are going to do. No one's ever aware of when players are going to get released and when they're going to get moved from team to team. Sure, timing is part of everything, but every GM deals with timing. You can't say this guy is just getting lucky nonstop, because if he's just getting lucky every single damn time he makes nice moves, well then guess what? There's something to him just making nice moves, and you have to get rid of this nonsense that Howie Roseman is clueless, because unfortunately for the dopes out there that doesn't believe that he actually has a set of ideas and beliefs that make sense, he's good at his job. He has generated success. He knows what he's doing. And this is an A-plus offseason from Jordan Davis to Cam Jurgens. Look at this defense, by the way. I know Cam Jurgens is supposed to be the future at center, and who knows, maybe we see some guard play out of him at some point, but all around, look what you did to linebackers. Look what you have in Slay and Bradberry as your combo. Here's one thing, though, that's going to be interesting from a Jonathan Gannon perspective. I love Darius Slay playing press. I want him to be in the face of receivers and making it difficult for them when you talk about the line of scrimmage. And I don't want to see a 90% completion percentage, 85% completion percentage. Yo, Jonathan, you have the pieces now. We gave you the benefit of the doubt because of how awful a lot of these defenders were on that side of the football last year. Well, that's different. You got players, you got ballers. But looking at schematically how Bradberry and Darius Slay work, Bradberry's significantly better in the zone, and Darius Slay, I would like for him to play some press coverage. So when you're Jonathan Gannon, you got to push the right buttons here and make things interesting. You're also going to be a lot heavier and a lot juicier up front on the defensive line to get to the quarterback to force them to be in a position with a little bit more thinking involved. And the more you think when you're in the pocket or scrambling outside of the pocket, sometimes that'll result in some turnovers. And Bradberry can definitely pick the football off. If Darius Slay is going to perform the way he did last year, you might see a damn pick six involved. All around, I'm super stoked. And before some of these moves were made, I wondered, where am I? Am I in the same exact ballpark emotionally as I was last year with the quarterback that I'm unsure if him getting better is going to be to the point that satisfies me? I know Jalen Hurts is going to improve. A lot of the pieces around Jalen Hurts improved, so just naturally, just based off of that, he's going to be better. Now, apply his work ethic, apply his determination, and apply the way that he feels about the game of football, and then, yeah, it's going to be better at it, Jalen Hurts. I do believe that. I really do deep down. But now that all the other surrounding pieces have improved too, what can you do as a squad? What can you do as an all-around team? With the Jalen Hurts that didn't satisfy a lot last season, you won 9 football games. You got blown out. And trust me, getting blown out in the first round of the playoffs there is not the destination that they envisioned. But that's why you see Howie Roseman make the moves that he made. All around. And Brandon Graham is another guy that isn't really being discussed that much. How much does he have in the tank? It's a great question. He's up there in age, and he went through a pretty gruesome injury. But if there was someone who would return with a certain demeanor about him, with like a screw you attitude, I have more, and I'll show you that, a hungry mentality, it's Brandon Graham. So I'm not going to put the world on his shoulders in terms of what he'll do, but that's a game changer for a defensive front that already added a Jordan Davis into the mix. You have Nakobe Dean. You have a nice slate of guys there that you can definitely do some damage with. And I was wondering, before they made this signing of James Bradberry, did they feel if they couldn't land someone, even though they recognized that there was a hole there, I wondered if they felt they can get enough pressure up front to live with a McPherson. Now, that would have been a disaster, and I would have ripped Howie Roseman if that was the case. If they did go into the season with that type of message, I would have been bothered by it. But I know they're not stupid. I know they need to make additions, and then eventually that panned out, and it's exactly why we're sitting here today with a ton of excitement. So I'm not stunned. Quite frankly, I would have been stunned if they went in that direction, but I wondered, was there something to it? Now, you could have some deadly weapons in the cornerback position on both sides. And Avante might get picked on a bit, or at least attempted to get picked on a bit. If your biggest fear, and I saw this on Reuben Frank's takeaways of the signing and what it means for this team, if your biggest question mark is Marcus Epps going to be able to play a full-time safety role? And guess what? That's not the worst question to have as your most important question of your roster. Every team is going to have a question mark somewhere within their roster, whether it's, is their offensive line going to keep their quarterback safe? The Eagles don't got to worry about that. What's your defensive line like? Right now, I don't expect to have that question on, can this defensive front ever make any sort of juice to the quarterback? Can they get to the quarterback? And you could talk about sacks numbers all you want, because I know that there's a disappointment in the overall total number of sacks at times, because Brandon Graham isn't a big sack guy, but he definitely makes the quarterback hurry and get him into a position where he's not feeling great. Jordan Davis stuffing the run. might not get to the quarterback. But if you have multiple double teams looking in his direction, that opens up the floodgates for somebody else to expose a one-on-one matchup and then do their job. But I don't know how this team is going to get run on. I think that's going to be a phenomenal part of their defense. It just comes down to, is Jonathan Gannon going to be a buffoon, and is he going to be stupid and allow guys nonstop to sit back and then dunk and dive and 10 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, 6 yards, because he doesn't want to get beat over the top with a two-safety look or something along those lines where you got safeties back and a ton of space and a ton of room. It's time to put that in the past. All right, I gave you the benefit of the doubt that maybe you felt so insecure about the garbage that was on your team, but now it's go mode. I want to see aggressiveness. I want to see some versatility. I want to see some creativeness. You're already somehow spoken about in league circles as a head coach caliber dude. Show me that. All right, show me that, because Jonathan Gannon sucked last year. He actually sucked. And you can separate the two behind not having the most lethal talent in the world and then philosophy. And he sucked last year. I don't want to hear, well, his numbers, this and that. He sucked. Fooled, outcoached, nonstop. When you talk about the historic rates of what teams were doing to the Philadelphia Eagles, it's unacceptable no matter what type of trash cans you have on the field. Now there is zero excuse. Show us your worth is what I'm trying to get out. Now, deep down, do I feel Gannon has more than what he put on display last year? Yes, because he wouldn't be discussed the way that he has been in league circles if that was the case. I'm going off of the NFL world viewing him a certain way. There's got to be something to it. And I doubt it's more than just, well, he's a leader. No, there's got to be more than that. Not that that's even something that I've heard to an insane degree. But to be honest with you, what I saw out of last year was so disappointing and so deflating. You hear the signing on how amazing this guy's going to be. I just felt like I got punched in the nuts every Sunday watching that garbage. It shouldn't be that way anymore. You got linebackers. I don't love the safeties. I do not love the safeties. I think Anthony Harris is just a guy. And to put it in perspective, Steven Nelson last year, he was just a guy. He got picked on at times, and then at times he was average. He's average as average can be. And some positions are going to have average. You're not going to have elite in every single area. So if you have average and Anthony Harris, can you live with that? Maybe you can live with that in your secondary for right now. But I wonder, is Howie Roseman done? Is Howie Roseman going to make another signing and possibly look in that safety department? I would not be shocked. I know Howie Roseman's feeling himself. He's doing podcasts and he's jumping on people's shows left and right. This isn't the Howie Roseman. He's smelling himself a bit. And I don't mind him smelling himself, because if it ends up making decisions like this, it ends up resulting in phenomenal decisions like this. Getting him for 7.5, was it, with incentives going up to 10 mil? Think about what he was on contract for with the New York Giants. Think about how the Giants are handling things financially for a Bradberry, and what you're seeing right now for the Eagles. It's a snag. And apparently it's being reported that he could have went to other teams and had other options on the table, and he elected to stay with Philadelphia because he thinks that, or go to Philadelphia, I should say, because he thinks that they have a great chance to win and to have a nice recipe for success. Which, by the way, this is what cracks me up. No one wants to play for Howie. Everyone sees that this organization is a dump. No one has any sort of faith in the way that they're ran. Idiots. Idiots. That's not true. The league looks at the Eagles as, I want to be them. I want to have a franchise that's ran like the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what it is. I know that might hurt some of you, but that's what it is. This organization's track record is success and competing for NFC East championships all the time. Think about it. How many years as of late did you head into the year and go, last year it was that. For the most part, majority of the time we go, we could win this division. I don't know many organizations. Some do when they have Aaron Rodgers, when they have Drew Brees, that they say, we're going to win the division every year, right? You do have those teams that feel that way. But to be in the mix with those type of teams is where you want to be. And this front office has you there with a Jalen Hurts, with a Carson Wentz. And trust me, Carson Wentz in 2017 was electric, an MVP. That's how strong he was. He had an MVP type year, so of course. But I'm just saying, your franchise gives you the right to feel this way a lot of the damn time because of these type of moves. It's incredible. And now my perspective and my excitement level has changed dramatically on what I think this team is. I didn't go through the win-losses and break down the schedule or go anything heavy down that road yet. And maybe I'll pop that up and kind of look at a few things that stand out to me. But before this move, I thought 9 wins again. In that range of 9-10 wins. 9-8, 10-7. Now I feel a little bit better about a 10-7, 11-6 type deal. Think about the tone right now on where the Dallas Cowboys are and where the Eagles are. Now, I'll keep it 100. As a Howie Roseman supporter, and this is more about just understanding hit rate and knowing what we do all the time when things like this happen. There's probably 2017, you didn't miss on anything. But that's rare. I'm sure there's going to be one signing that we're excited about now that may not pan out. Maybe it's a White. Maybe the expectations for Dean right away as a first-year guy isn't as smooth as we would like it to be. That doesn't mean he won't end up turning into a player, but I'm sure that there's one guy out there that we're having really high expectations for that might not be as phenomenal as we would like them to be, but that doesn't mean they can never get there. That's on my radar as realistically happening. Every team has that version of someone they're super amped up for, someone they're super stoked for, and then maybe expectations need to dwindle down a bit as you're 7-8 games into the regular season. Sure, that may happen. But the collective group of additions, it's mind-blowing thinking about where they were last season and where they are right now. And going back to what I just mentioned about starting a season off a certain way. Last year, Nick Sirianni had no idea what to do early on. He had a philosophy, but that philosophy did not fit the skill set best of the quarterback and with some of the players on the team. Now there's way more knowledge heading into this year, which think about how that changes the first 6 weeks of the season. It doesn't matter what season it is or what quarterback you have. You're not the same in January as you are in September, but it's nice to have a full body of work and a full understanding of the pros and the cons of a lot of these players to start a year. There's way more data to go off of to start a 6-game stretch in the beginning of a season that can go a long way and change the trajectory of things and the swagger and the confidence and the approach, especially when you look at how they start the season. So to go to the Eagles schedule real quickly for 2022. Start things off Lions on the road. I am not afraid of the Detroit Lions. And I'm not going to go win-loss or anything, but I'm just saying you have the Vikings at home. And the NFC is not very strong. A lot of these squads that are fantastic and grade A type of teams that are super scary, Super Bowl contenders heading into the season. Not that that always matters because no one had the Eagles as Super Bowl contenders back in 2017 after they went 7-9 with Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. To be fair, a lot of Eagles fans wanted Doug Peterson canned after that first year, so it doesn't mean the world that you head into the year as a Super Bowl favorite. And keep in mind now, there's buzz generated with the Eagles, right? I just want to make that clear, where as much as I'm supporting all the moves that they did, and I think they put themselves in a good position to feel good about themselves, it doesn't always tell the full story, and that's why they play the damn football games. But with Washington and Carson Wentz as your third game as you go on the road, and the Jaguars, your first 4 games, there's a very reasonable chance that you can go 3-1 in that first 4-game stretch compared to, maybe the vibe after the early stages of last year. So just keep that in mind as you think about Nick Sirianni. We're going to go to the phones and start off with Sean in just 1 minute as he's been waiting very patiently. But the questions last year is, who is Sirianni? Who is Jalen Hurts? Who is Gannon? I think we can slash the who is Nick Sirianni. Even though there's more to learn, there's a solid base that we can wrap our head around and say, okay, I get that Nick Sirianni is a dude that provide satisfaction, let's say, heading into this year. I know more about him. And to be honest with you, there's times where I think the quarterback holds him back, where there's another level to Nick Sirianni. And because of where Jalen Hurts was last season, I don't know what he's going to be this season. I think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be sharper. The addition of A.J. Brown, having a Devontae Smith, a Dallas Goedert, Quez Watkins being your third instead of your two is a massive difference. And I think Quez Watkins is even better than the numbers show if your quarterback could get him the football better and see the field a little bit smoother where he can make those passes for big explosions and another 60-yard pass down the left sideline or something along those lines that were missed last season. Maybe that's better after having a full body of work. If you remember, at the end of last year, I was a diehard supporter of give this kid time. Josh Allen didn't have the greatest year in the world accuracy-wise his first time around, and then things changed. Not that he has the arm strength to match those level of dudes. I'm less on arm strength and more on getting the ball out on time and in the right places. Because if he was to do that, we wouldn't be dissecting the arm strength to the same level. It might be a subtopic. It might be a side conversation on, well, if it was better, it could be even more explosive, sure, but if he reads the field better, sets his feet better when he's rolling left to the pocket, if those details are stressed and all of those additions now amplify what he can do, the arm strength combo isn't as heavy because you're still having a ton of generated success, a lot of sustained drives, especially utilizing his legs as a weapon with Miles Sanders and others as well. But with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Jonathan Gannon, I feel we can scratch who is Nick Sirianni, even though there's still more to learn. It's way more about who is Gannon now that he's got these pieces and who is Hurts. So you knocked one off the list. Most feel good about Sirianni, as I think you should after what he did last season. Some things to question. Every coach has their some things to question. Every coach. No coach is perfect. But I feel way better about him, and I still have some question marks about the others. But the overall team growth and talent being added, I think takes a lot more stress off Jalen. At the same time, I know he's going to be better than last year. It's just, is that enough? But think about defenses now. Which weapon you taking away? You want to take away Devontae with your number one guy? No, probably A.J. Brown, right? But what does that mean for Devontae? And what does that mean for Quez? This is going to change the passing game, and James Bradberry changes the passing game for the opposing team's offense. So think about what you just did with A.J. Brown and James Bradberry. When it comes to the passing game, on both sides of the ball, things changed big time. And I don't think squads are going to be able to run on this team with what they have up front. I know Fletch isn't the same Fletch as he once was, but you don't need him to be to that level anymore. When you look at the ages of these guys, let's look at these ages. Hassan Reddick. This is courtesy of Thomas Peterson. Nakobe Dean's 21. Jordan Davis is 22. Cam Jurgens is 22. A.J. Brown is 24. Hassan Reddick's 27. Bradberry's 28. 1-year deal, so it's not as if you're building around him forever. But if he does bounce back to his 2021, he had a tough year. These years are all screwing me up. 2020, he had the Pro Bowl year, if I got that correct. What is it? Sometimes it's like the 2021 season, the 21-22 season. Math isn't my strongest. We all understand, though. He had the Pro Bowl year. He had a bit of a down year. Playing with this unit of guys, this grouping of guys, I think will definitely go a long way for him. And there's some nice key pieces. This offensive line. We want to talk about age. You went from Peters, Isaac Seumalo, still in the mix. We don't know what his role is going to be. Jason Kelsey, Elaine Johnson, and your right guard was Brandon Brooks. You still have a lethal offensive line and crazily younger. Mailata, Dickerson. I expect Cam Jurgens to be a dog, and I think he will be. But Kelsey's here for now. Jack Driscoll, or maybe it's Jurgens playing guard. And Lane Johnson. Think about how scary you still are up front. Dominant, to be honest with you. Absolute weapons. Top tier in the National Football League. And replaced all the older guys with some younger guys. Replenishing. What are you doing on the defensive side? Replenishing Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Jordan Davis. It's game-changing stuff. It takes time for this to play out. but it's starting to work itself into real life here, and that's super exciting. With that, we'll start things off. The phone line, 856-442-9805. That's the phone number. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. We will begin with the one and only Sean. What's up, Sean?
Now, Hunter, have you locked and loaded with your connections our Super Bowl tickets for February of next year?
Oh, we're doing that.
Let's get a jump on it.
We're doing that.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not one of these people, like you said, that's going to go down a schedule and go win-loss in May. But I'll say this on a couple fronts. First of all, whether you like the guy or not, you got to, in my opinion, tip your hat to what Howie Roseman'S doing here. I mean, I don't think Eagle fans in their wildest dreams could imagine the talent that they've landed and how it's all come to fruition. I mean, give the guy his due. And, you know, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, one thing that will help him is having a legitimate defense, because he never really had to work with a short field because they never caused turnovers. And when you're any quarterback and you've got to go 70, 80 yards to score every time you touch the ball, I mean, that's tough for anybody. So, I mean, I hope everybody's healthy and, you know, gets through training camp and preseason unscathed, but definitely more optimistic going into the start of this year than last year.
Absolutely. I think that's the right way to do it, Sean. And yeah, I mean, I've been on the Howie train for quite some time. All GMs make poor decisions. Mickey Loomis, everyone would have said the New Orleans Saints, I would take their front office over the Howie Roseman any day of the week. Now everyone's wondering what the hell is going on. We go to Chris Ballard in the Indianapolis Colts. And I'll give them a lot of credit, because if they felt Carson Wentz wasn't the guy after they made that trade, now, I don't think they went about it the right way to maximize what could have went down when they realized that we are going to move in another direction. But they pulled the trigger quick on that, said, nope, this ain't working. Nope. We're going to do things that we feel is right. Now, they're making knee-jerk moves, trying new quarterbacks every single season. I don't know if it's going to pan out. But my point is, Chris Ballard was a name that everyone would say is better than Howie Roseman 1 year ago, 2 years ago. All GMs have bad spurts. All GMs have horrific draft choices. When you look at Seattle and what's going on there with some of their draft picks, there are disasters all over the map. Howie Roseman's full body of work, the dude won a Super Bowl. The guy won a Super Bowl, and we treat him like he's Chuck Fletcher. We treat him like he's the worst general manager in sports. It's quite honestly embarrassing the way that he gets treated. It's because he doesn't sound like a football guy. It's because he doesn't look like a football guy. He's skinny little dweeb in theory, and that gets people irritated. Joe Douglas, Joe Douglas does everything. That's what people say. Joe Douglas does everything. Now, it looked like he had a great draft for the Jets this past season, but come on now. Now, you talked about turnover. See, the problem is, if I remember correctly, I don't think last year the numbers, the Philadelphia Eagles were, just in turnovers they were 26th in the league with 16 turnovers. But they went through that spurt where Darius Slay gets the intercept. I just think at times, and I have to do the full body of research, but I remember at times there were some numbers that would tell you that it wasn't as bad as you thought it was. And no, it was bad, though. I mean, I'm not going to rule out the eye test here. And I know that when Jim Schwartz was here, I was a big defender of Jim Schwartz because the numbers told you a certain story. But, I mean, Jim Schwartz will swim circles around Jonathan Gannon last year. That doesn't mean this year he won't be able to shine. He better shine because it's right there in front of him to prove everybody wrong and flip everyone the double bird Jonathan Gannon has. But it's just so weird and bizarre, the Jonathan Gannon story. It's hard to wrap my head around how much love he's gotten by a lot of executives and all these other teams. Come on now. What have you seen that screams this guy's a no-brainer? I don't get it. But look, he's got a path right in front of him, like I said, to basically tell everyone, screw you, and this is why they talk about me the way that they do. And if he proves me wrong, I'd be the happiest person in the world. I'm not doubting that he can't. I want to see it. Those are two totally different things. If I sat here today and said there's no way in hell Jonathan Gannon will do a great job, well, then I'd be a bit foolish. I even stated, I think there's more in him than what we've seen. I think there's factors into why, because I like to utilize context, it was a disaster. See, all I ask for is maximize your roster. So if your roster blows, and I'm fully aware that your roster doesn't have a lot of talent, I still feel that he could have tried different things and done different looks to show me that you're a progressive thinker, to show me that you're willing to try different concepts, knowing that you have some limitations, but maximize what you do have. And allowing Derek Carr and all these other quarterbacks to go for historic numbers week in and week out is not maximizing. Even though you're bad in certain areas, you could do different things to satisfy, not that you have to satisfy us, but just to show your worth and to say, like, okay, I see his thinking there. It didn't pan out because that guy's trash, because that guy isn't talented enough. But the idea and belief behind what he's running does apply to logic. But he wasn't giving us that. There's got to be more in there. So we'll see. But I'm feeling great about rolling into next season. There's buzz. There's life. There's excitement. There's belief. Where last year it was like, there's nothing here. Think about that one off season and bang. Think about where you were last season before the season began. 4 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. I had them at 6. A lot of fans had them at 4, 5. They ended up winning 9, so we were all wrong. And who knows, maybe this year we scream 11 and it's 8, right? Something goes on to 8. That's why they play these damn games. But it's hard not to feel like you should have a huge smile on your face walking into your local Starbucks and having a nice cup of Joe today, as I have my venti Starbucks iced black coffee. It's fantastic. Oh, I apologize if my cup just scratched the microphone. But 856-442-9805. There are some open lines if you would love to share your opinions on this. Before we get to the phones again, guys, we have a new partner here, and it's one that we've been wanting for a long time now. Freestone Farm CBD. It's my favorite CBD brand because they farm it themselves with all organic inputs. I've tried a lot of different brands, but honestly, Freestone Farm CBD has been amazing for me. I personally like using it after working out to help out regular post-workout feel and before bed, as I've been sleeping insanely better at night. What's even more exciting, our friends at Freestone Farms just unveiled an all-new strain menu with some awesome CBD at really reasonable prices. Just check out their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at 24.1% CBD. All of their premium hemp flower is grown on their Garden State farm with all organic inputs and IPM. Absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. On top of that, use code BROADS for 20% off at checkout at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. The link is down below in the description. Now, Eric wants to know, how come Howie couldn't make these moves for Wentz? What do you mean? What do you mean he couldn't make these moves for Wentz? Well, what is that even about? I don't even understand what that question is. It's not like he thought to himself, you know what, Jalen Hurts is our quarterback this year. When Carson Wentz was here, I wouldn't, if the same circumstances were available, I wouldn't sign Hassan Reddick. I wouldn't look for James Bradberry. I wouldn't have drafted Cam Jurgens. I wouldn't have drafted Jordan Davis or Nakobe Dean because Carson Wentz was the quarterback. Part of this was the Eagles organization, no doubt about it. I don't think they handled things properly, and there's a reason why it ran its course, and the relationship got sour, and they both kind of moved on, and it seemed they both wanted to go in different directions. I'm not loving the fact that it broke down the way that it did. The Eagles paid him massively, and then the whole second-round quarterback thing was wonky and bonkers, and I'll never forget the moment and where I was when I saw his name pop up on that TV screen. My jaw hit the floor. I think both handled it poorly, but as I alluded to, every organization goes through all sorts of issues, but it's how do you respond to that adversity? When something does go wrong and you make a poor decision, how do you counter that poor decision? Is it with another poor one? Or is it with an average one? Or is it with a great one? And to be fair, as much as I was a Carson Wentz supporter, And I was rooting for him to succeed because I root for all quarterbacks to succeed. I want Jalen Hurts to be the answer. Why? Because it makes it easier for the Eagles. Imagine next year being able to utilize those draft picks on other game changers, on more first-round talent, on going to Alabama and Georgia and going to these SEC schools to deliver more game-changing type of lethal weapons, right? I want that. It would suck to have to go to another quarterback. So I want Jalen Hurts to be the guy. And if he makes the playoffs to win a playoff game, you go from his first year starting, making the playoffs and losing and getting blown out, to second year making the playoffs and winning a first-round game. Now, of course, context would matter, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that would be a great position to be in with your team kind of blossoming and growing year by year. Carson Wentz, though, didn't work with Frank Reich in Indianapolis. Now, in what world, with those circumstances in the coach organization, if it doesn't work there, if something's off there, if that vibe isn't right there, I think it's time to look at Wentz more than it is the Eagles front office. That doesn't mean there's not blame on them. That doesn't mean there's no reason at all to look at why they made certain decisions. But I feel deep down that there's things that happen behind the scenes that forced the Eagles to take them in the second round. I don't think it was, I'm taking Jalen Hurts and I'm just doing it. Just like the Colts said, we're done with Wentz. This is it. I don't want to deal with them. There's probably a correlation with why the Colts felt that way, with why the Eagles made the decision that they did, that we will never have the public knowledge of. I could be wrong. That's just a gut feel. But it's strange that Wentz is being passed along now. Now he's on the Washington squad. We'll see how long that lasts. And yeah, the chat's bringing up an excellent point to counter Eric. It's not as if Carson Wentz didn't have an MVP-type season with Howie Roseman, where he got Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, made a move for Ronald Darby. These moves were huge. You think about what they did to acquire they got Alshon Jeffrey, of course. That season was super fun with him. And come on, I'm drawing a big blank here. Come on. Torrey Smith. They got weapons. He had players. They got him pieces. And this year was all about getting opposite of Devontae Smith, which they did. Ding, ding, ding. But it was all about building a defense because they went from slop to Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham returning, White, Nakobe Dean, Hassan Reddick, and James Bradberry. That's actually insane to think about all of those players coming to this squad in one offseason. That's wild. All right. We'll take our next phone call here. Hello, good afternoon. You are on Broads Media.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been listening for a long time. First time calling, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch in about the Eagles. I was really stoked for this signing, honestly. James Bradberry. I like this team. I was concerned about the secondary at first, but with this, I'm really liking the team. Although I don't really trust Jalen Hurts, honestly, in the playoffs. I feel like we'll be a great regular season team. I'm not too sure about the playoffs, but I would love for him to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd love
it's
nothing more than him.
It's too early right now to know exactly what's going to shape up in the postseason. We'll have more information on that. Look, if it ends up being just like last year, where they're beating teams they should, they're losing to really good squads, and just to be clear, I don't think that's going to happen this year. You'll see some good wins this season, way more than you saw last year. But if it ends up trending in that direction by week 12, week 13, week 14, I think having that type of reaction and that response I'm more willing to accept it. Right now, though, I get having a bit of fear about Jalen Hurts, but there's so much promising around. It's a 53-man roster for a reason. You had entirely new coaching staff, very young, very raw on the sidelines. There's a lot of variables in the why teams look a certain way, and there's no denying that the quarterback position is the most. But just give it some time to breathe. Give it some time to assess. He'll be better. Will it be enough? I don't know, but I'm not going to go out this early and start talking about, I don't know if he'll be fine in the playoffs. There's a lot of football to be played, and there's a lot of dissection that needs to happen before I get into that mindset.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't know if he can throw accurately enough to be a winning type of quarterback in the playoffs. That's just me, but I would love for him to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I would love for him.
Great running quarterback.
Yeah, he's very unique. Thank you for the call. Very unique. Guys love him. I mean, he's working out with offensive linemen in the offseason and all. Who does that? There's something to be said about the way that people speak about Jalen Hurts and his attitude and his approach. At the end of the day, though, you have to perform. If you're not performing, it doesn't matter how much people love you. That is an intangible, though. When we break down Wentz and we destroy him and annihilate him for what he didn't do, it was the lack of intangibles. This kid seems to have all of that. So if we're going to rip a quarterback for not having it, we do have to appreciate and understand that that's a part of him that he does have with not only his skill set, but his personality that maybe could be the difference in what it means to be a quarterback and the impact that it has in a locker room. He needs to throw better, though, and his accuracy. We'll go to his accuracy and what it was last season. So last season for Jalen Hurts and his stats, my problem more is getting the ball out his eyes. He misses guys wide. Not only, I'm not saying wide open in regards to the ball being overthrown or underthrown, even though there were times where the receiver would have to look back and make a grab underneath. It's more about Quez Watkins has 5 feet of separation, but instead he tries to throw the ball to Devontae Smith on an out route. Maybe it would be completed, maybe it wouldn't. But it's just the fact that instead of a 50-yard gain downfield, you're getting a 10-yard gain or something along those lines, or it's running it for 8 yards, but there was a 20-yard play on the left side of the field that he maybe could have gotten the ball thrown there, but he didn't do it. Those are the areas that needed to be cleaned up. So he threw the ball at a 61% completion percentage, and I want to look at other quarterbacks. Completion percentage, 2021 NFL quarterbacks, just so we can lay it all out there. 61% was Jalen. Joe Burrow was at 70%. Kyler Murray, 69%. I'm not even the biggest Kyler Murray fan, though. If you told me the Philadelphia Eagles got Kyler Murray, I'm not the biggest fan in the world. He's at 69%. Aaron Rodgers, 68%. Okay, let's get to Hurts. He is with Wentz, with Josh Allen, 63%. So 2% more was Josh Allen. Daniel Jones, Jacoby Brissett. Think about Josh Allen. He's in the middle of Daniel Jones and Jacoby Brissett for percentage, completion percentage, which is pretty crazy to think about. Russell Wilson was 64. Pat Mahomes, 66. Taylor Heineke, 65. Zach Wilson, 55. Justin Fields, 58. Trevor Lawrence, 59. Sam Darnold, 59. He's definitely closer to the Mayfield, the Darnolds, the Wentz, the Brissetts than the middle of the pack crew. Can he clean that up and be middle of the pack with completion percentage? That's the question. I think that's a fair question to have. But right now, if you're going to just rip apart Jalen Hurts nonstop before the season even begins and just say that he's not a quarterback, he's a running back, and go through all that nonsense, God bless you. I'm going to go a different road and acknowledge that he does do things well. He does have a lot to work on. He's a second-year starting quarterback. Some would say the end of the first year counts for him, and I'm not disregarding that, but it's hard for me to assess, hey, kid, we're going to bench Carson Wentz. Here's J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor as your options at wide receiver with Travis Fulgham. Here's your wide receiver core. Go have at it for the last couple of games of a regular season, and you're just getting thrown into the fire. There's something to be said about gaining experience and seeing the field and running through the motions there in real NFL time. But for me to say that is the same as last year, or that's the same as heading into this season, I don't personally believe that it's the same. So while you can acknowledge he does things very well, he had some really great throws, really good games, really impressive moments. Just from overall feel. He had some ugly games, some bad throws, and some really tough misses. Both are true. Who is he? We're going to find out. He's got more playmakers. Defenses have to game plan differently. Schematically for an A.J. Brown. For a Devontae Smith. It changes a lot of what you can do offensively. How guys are open. Quez. That speed. Wow. Lethal. So I'm excited for it. I really am. With that, we'll shut things down here. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me today. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on your way out. If you're looking to buy tickets for any event out there, baseball obviously is the hot topic here unless your squad is luckily still in the NBA Finals or the NHL playoffs. You can utilize the promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout page if you're a first-time user for $20 off. So it's a no-brainer. That eliminates all those fees in the beginning. You can utilize that for parking or for beer if you're heading into the stadium or the ballpark. Promo code BROADS. And then lastly, on all social media platforms, at Broads Media, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit the follow button there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you all